Once upon a time, there was a girl named Kemi. She was big and quiet and always wore simple clothes. Kemi worked in a big office building where many people typed on computers, made phone calls, and talked about ideas. The company was called Vantage Digital. It was a tech company, and many people said it was one of the best in the country. But inside the building, not everyone was nice. Kemi was an intern. That meant she was learning and helping at the same time. She worked very hard and always came to the office on time. She did everything her manager told her to do. If someone needed help with files, or needed coffee, or needed to send a letter, Kemi said, "Okay, I'll do it." She smiled a lot and never caused trouble. But still, people did not treat her well. Most of the workers laughed at her behind her back. Some laughed at her in front of her face. They said mean things like, "Look at how she walks," or "Did she eat all the snacks again?" Some of the women in the office whispered and giggled when she passed by. They called her the fat girl with no style. The boys in the tech room said she looked like someone who would never get a job if not for pity. They joked that maybe the company only hired her because someone felt sorry for her. Kemi heard it all. She heard the whispers. She saw the smirks. She felt the stares. But she didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just worked quietly. Her boss, Mr. Solanka, was the worst of them all. He never smiled at Kemi. He never said thank you. When she made a mistake, even a small one, he would shout at her in front of everyone. He once said, "You are lucky we let you stay here. Do you think anyone else would hire you?" The other workers laughed when he said that. Kemi didn't laugh. She felt a lump in her throat, but she didn't cry. She went to her desk and finished her work. No one knew anything about Kemi's life outside the office. They thought she lived in a small house. They thought she had no family. They thought she was just a simple fat girl who got a small job. But they were all wrong. Kemi had a big secret. A very big one. Kemi's mother was once one of the richest women in the whole country. Her name was Folake Adiola. She owned many businesses, houses, and cars. She gave money to schools and hospitals. People called her the quiet billionaire. She didn't show off. She didn't like noise. She liked building things. One of the things she helped build was Vantage Digital. But Folake died when Kemi was still in school. Before she died, she told Kemi something very important. She said, "I have put your name on the company papers. You will own more than anyone else there. But don't tell them yet. I want you to work there one day. I want you to see people's true hearts. Be quiet. Be still and watch. When the time is right, you will stand tall. You will fix what is broken." Kemi kept that secret deep inside her heart. She promised her mother she would do just that. She did not tell her uncles. She did not tell her friends. She did not even tell the people at the company. She walked into Vantage Digital like a nobody. Just an intern. Just a fat girl. Just a quiet helper. But she was not just those things. She was the owner, the boss, the one with the power. Every day, Kemi watched. She watched how people treated others. She saw the workers who lied, the ones who stole, the ones who bullied. She saw who was lazy and who worked hard. She saw who smiled only when the boss was near. She saw who made fun of the cleaners, and she remembered. But even while she watched, the bullying continued. One day, someone switched her good chair with a broken one. When she sat, it made a loud noise, and she almost fell. Everyone laughed. Another day, she brought food from home, and someone hid it. They laughed and said, "Maybe you don't need more food anyway." She smiled gently and walked away. On another day, one of the boys in the tech room held up his phone and said he was making a funny video. He pointed it at her while she ate. She turned her face away, but he kept laughing. Kemi told herself, "Stay calm. Watch. The time will come." There was one person who was nice to her. His name was Musa. He was a junior accountant. He always said good morning. He helped her carry files. He smiled when she passed by. He even gave her an umbrella when it rained. Kemi liked Musa, not because he was nice to her, but because he was kind even when no one was watching. She remembered that. But almost everyone else, they didn't know the truth. They didn't know that the company they were working for, the same company they mocked her in, the same office they teased her in, was actually hers. They didn't know the girl they laughed at was the owner, the daughter of the woman who built it all. They didn't know the fat girl with no style had more money than all of them put together. And Kemi wasn't ready to tell them. Not yet. She had more to learn, more to see. But deep down, she knew the day was coming. The day they would see the truth. And that day would change everything. Kemi kept going to work every day like nothing was wrong. She still wore her big, round glasses. She still sat quietly at her corner desk. She still smiled when people looked at her. But now she was watching even more closely. Her mother had told her to wait and look, and that was what she was doing. Only now things were getting worse. Kemi could feel it. Something inside the company didn't feel right. Something smelled bad, even if no one could see it yet. One day, Kemi was helping file some papers for the finance team. She was putting names, numbers, and dates in the computer. It was boring work, but Kemi liked it. As she typed, she saw something strange. There was a payment for 100 million naira, said it was for building maintenance. But Kemi knew that no building work had been done in a long time. The floors were still dirty, the lights still flickered, the toilets still leaked. She looked again. The payment went to a company called Gitatech Repairs. She asked the accountant beside her, "What is Gitatech Repairs?" The man looked up and said, "I don't know. Oh, maybe it's a contractor. Just file it." Kemi nodded, but she didn't forget. She wrote the name down in her notebook. She would check it later. The next day, she was asked to make copies of some documents from the HR office. As she waited for the printer, two women in suits were talking. One said, "Madam Bintu is sharp. She knows how to clean money without anyone noticing." The other laughed and said, "That woman is enjoying our flying first class every week, yet we say the company is broke." Kemi heard it all. She didn't say anything. She just picked up the papers and walked out. Later that evening, at home, Kemi opened her laptop and searched for Gitatech Repairs. What she found shocked her. There was no real office, no website, no photos, just a name and a fake address. The phone number didn't even work. She searched more. The name of the company owner was listed as Salami Ibrahim. Kemi's eyes widened. That was the same last name as the company's COO, Madam Bintu Salami. So Madam Bintu had created a fake company, and she was sending money from Vantage Digital to that company. Money meant for real work was going into her own secret pocket. That was stealing, and no one had stopped her. No one had noticed. Because everyone thought Kemi was just the fat intern. Kemi felt her hands shaking. She took a deep breath. She wrote everything down in her notebook and saved the website screenshots on her flash drive. The next week, more strange things happened. A payment of 200 million naira was made to another company called Bright Path Consulting. But when Kemi asked the IT team, none of them had heard of it. She searched again. Same story. No office, no real people. The name on the paper? Obinna Solanko. That was her own boss, the same man who called her useless. Kemi started to see a pattern. The big people at the top were using fake companies to steal money. They signed the papers quietly. They told the interns and junior staff to just file it. And the money kept vanishing. She felt sick. Her mother had trusted these people. Her mother had put money into this company to help it grow. But they were cutting it apart, bit by bit, like thieves in the night. Kemi could not tell anyone yet. If she said something too early, they might try to hide everything. So she began to collect proof. Every time she saw something strange, she took notes. She copied files onto a special folder that only she could open. She kept everything in a big green box under her bed. Inside that box were papers, flash drives, printouts, and photos. She called it the truth box. At work, nothing changed. Her boss still shouted at her. The others still laughed at her weight. One girl named Amanda from marketing walked past one day and said, "I heard the floor shook when Kemi dropped her bag." The others laughed and laughed. Kemi looked at them, smiled, and said nothing. But in her heart, she said, "Keep laughing. Keep showing me who you are." One day, while she was in the copy room, she heard two managers talking. They didn't know she was behind the door. One said, "Ogabayo got another contract approved, $10 million for digital ads, but he'll only spend $1 million. The rest will enter his pocket." The other said, "It's a sweet life, my brother. This company is a gold mine. You just need to know where to dig." Kemi wanted to cry. Her mother had once said, "A business is like a garden. You must water it and care for it. If you let snakes in, they will eat the roots." Now the snakes were everywhere. And the worst part? No one cared. No one tried to stop it. Because everyone thought the fat girl in the corner was nobody, but she was not nobody. She was the true owner, and she was watching. That same week, the finance team sent out a message. Due to cash flow challenges, staff bonuses will be delayed. People were angry. Some said they couldn't pay school fees. Others said they were tired of working for nothing. But Madame Bintu flew to Dubai for a weekend trip. Her photos were on Instagram in big sunglasses, eating gold cake, smiling with rich friends. Kemi saved the photos. She saved everything. Then one day, a man came to the office. He was tall, wore glasses, and carried a big brown file. He went into the boardroom and stayed there for hours. No one knew who he was. When he left, everyone whispered. Kemi asked Musa, who was that man? Musa said, "I think he's from an auditing firm. Some investors are asking questions." Kemi's eyes lit up. Finally, someone was watching. Someone else was starting to ask the hard questions. She knew what that meant. The time was coming. The big people would soon be in trouble. And when they looked for who could help fix the mess, they would never expect that the fat girl in the corner was the one holding all the answers. The next few days were very busy inside Vantage Digital. People whispered in corners. Some walked fast and looked worried. Some workers said strange things like, "Did you hear about the audit? And what if they check our files?" Kemi heard it all. She acted like she didn't care, but inside, she was ready. The green box under her bed was full of lies, fake names, missing money, and proof. She had done everything her mother asked. She had waited. She had watched. Now something big was coming. On Monday morning, the head of the company sent a message. It said, "There will be a special board meeting this Friday. All department heads must prepare reports." People ran up and down. Some workers tried to fix mistakes. Some people changed numbers in their reports. Others called each other, saying, "Remove my name from that file," or "Don't mention that payment." And Kemi saw how scared they were. It made her smile just a little. The people who once laughed at her now looked like rats in a kitchen full of traps. But they still didn't know her secret. They didn't know the intern in the corner was not just an intern. They didn't know she was the one her mother trusted most. They didn't know she was the biggest owner of the whole company. That same evening, Kemi's phone rang. It was a new number. She almost didn't answer. But something in her heart told her to pick up. "Hello?" she said softly. "Is this Miss Kemi Adeola?" the voice asked. "Yes," she answered. "My name is Mr. Anini. I'm calling from your late mother's law firm. We have something important to tell you. Please, can you come to our office tomorrow morning?" Kemi's heart beat fast. "Yes," she said quickly. "I can come." The next morning, Kemi wore a clean shirt and black trousers. She tied her hair neatly. She took a small bag and left early. The law office was big and quiet. The man who met her was old and kind. He smiled and gave her a seat. "Your mother left something very special," he said. "She made you the majority shareholder of Vantage Digital. Your name is on the documents, but we kept it secret, just as she wished." Kemi nodded. She already knew. But hearing it from someone else made it feel real, very real. "She also left this letter for you," the man said, handing her a white envelope. Kemi opened it slowly. Her mother's handwriting filled the page. It said, "My dear daughter, if you are reading this, then the time has come. The company is sick. It needs someone strong and wise. You have seen how people act when they think you are nothing. Now it is time to show them who you really are. Take your place. Fix what is broken. Be bold. Love, Mummy." Kemi wiped a small tear from her cheek. She held the letter close to her heart. The lawyer gave her more papers and said, "This Friday, you must attend the board meeting. It is time to reveal everything." Kemi nodded. She felt scared but also strong. She went home, sat on her bed, and opened the green box. One by one, she packed her flash drives, notes, photos, and papers into a red folder. She zipped the folders shut and whispered to herself, "It's time." Friday came fast. Everyone at the office looked nervous. Kemi walked in early. People still laughed when they saw her, but this time, she didn't even notice. She had something more important to do. At 11 o'clock, the big meeting started. All the board members sat at a long table. Some looked sleepy, some looked annoyed. Madam Bintu wore big earrings and dark glasses. Mr. Solanka sat straight with his chest out. The CEO, Mr. Danjuma, was already there. He looked tired. Then the door opened, and Kemi walked in. People looked up. Some whispered, "Why is she here?" Others rolled their eyes. "She's just an intern," someone said. "Maybe she brought water." But Kemi didn't bring water. She walked to the front of the room. She placed the red folder on the table. 3 lawyers walked in behind her and stood quietly. The CEO looked confused. "Kemi, what is this?" he asked. Before she could answer, the old lawyer from her mother's firm stepped forward. He cleared his throat and said, "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are here on behalf of the majority shareholder of Vantage Digital. Her name is Miss Kemi Adeola. She is here to speak. Please listen carefully." The room went silent. People blinked. Madam Bintu gasped. Mr. Solanki shook his head in disbelief. "Kemi?" someone whispered. "She owns what?" But it was true. The fat girl they laughed at was the owner. The one they called useless was now their boss. The one they mocked was now the one with power. Kemi took a deep breath and opened her red folder. "I have been here for many months," she said. Her voice was soft but steady. "I have watched this company. I have seen the truth. Money is missing. Fake companies are being paid. Lies are in your reports. My mother trusted you, but you failed her. Now I will not fail her." She handed out papers to each board member. On those papers were names, numbers, photos, and proof. Proof of fraud. Proof of theft. Proof of the wrong things done by the people in the room. Madam Bintu stood up. "This is a joke," she shouted. But no one laughed, because the proof was clear, and the lawyers were real. And Kemi, the fat girl in the corner, was now standing tall at the head of the table. I will speak more in the next meeting, Kemi said. But for now, I want you to know that I am ready to fix what is broken, ready to protect my mother's name, and ready to lead. She picked up her red folder and walked out. The room stayed silent for a long time. No one knew what to say. Back at her desk, Kemi sat down. Her heart was still racing, but she smiled, a small smile. It had begun. The truth was out, and nothing would ever be the same again. After that big meeting, the whole office changed. Everyone was talking about it. People whispered in the halls and sent secret messages on their phones. The news was spreading fast. Kemi was not just an intern. She was the owner. The girl they all laughed at was now the most important person in the company. Some people didn't believe it at first. One man said, "There must be a mistake. She can't even speak loud." A lady in HR said, "She wears the same shoes every day. No rich girl dresses like that." But it was true. The papers said it. The lawyers said it. And Kemi had said it too, with a calm voice and a red folder full of truth. When Kemi came into the office the next day, everything felt strange. People smiled too much. People said hello too sweetly. Some even tried to carry her bag. The same people who had once laughed at her now wanted to be her friend. But Kemi didn't trust those smiles. She just nodded and walked past them. She sat at her old desk like she always did. She opened her computer and began typing. But now the whole office kept stealing glances at her. They were scared. They were confused. They didn't know what she would do next. Then that same day, her phone rang again. It was one of her lawyers. He said, "The board wants another meeting. This time they want you to lead it." Kemi took a deep breath and said, "I will come." She wore her neat blue shirt and her black skirt. She tied her hair in a bun. She looked like the same Kemi everyone used to laugh at. But something was different now, and she stood taller. Her eyes were sharper. Her heart was stronger. She was not just Kemi the intern. She was Kemi Adeola, the heiress. When she entered the boardroom this time, no one whispered. No one laughed. All the big people, the directors, the managers, the heads of departments, were already sitting and waiting. They looked nervous. Some were sweating. Some were holding papers tight in their hands. Kemi didn't rush. She walked slowly to the front of the room. She placed her new folder on the table. It was bigger than the last one. It was blue this time. Inside were more papers, more proof, more secrets. The CEO, Mr. Dan Juma, stood up and said, "Miss Adeola, thank you for coming. We understand now who you are. Please, you have the floor." Kemi looked around the room. She saw Madam Bintu. She saw Mr. Solanke. She saw others who had once called her names and made her feel small. She began to speak. This company was built with love, with sweat, with vision. My mother gave her money and her heart to it. But you used lies and greed to break it. I have proof of payments to fake companies. I have proof of stolen money. I have proof of bad work that was paid for but never done. She passed copies of her documents to everyone in the room. One by one, they opened the papers and read. Their faces changed. Some looked shocked. Some looked scared. Some looked ashamed. "Here is a payment of 200 million naira to Brightpath Consulting," Kemi said. "But Brightpath is fake. It was created by Mr. Solanke." Mr. Solanke stood up fast. "No, this is not true," he shouted. Kemi looked at him. "We have the bank slips. We have the emails. We even have the registration details from the CAC. He sat down slowly. No one helped him. Kemi turned to Madam Bintu. "Here is a payment of 100 million to Gitatech Repairs. But Gitatech has no office. It has no workers. The name on the account is your brother's." Madam Bintu shook her head. "You don't understand business," she said. Kemi replied, "No, I understand the truth. And what I see here is not business, it is theft. The room was silent. Everyone was listening. No one had ever seen Kemi like this before. She didn't shout, she didn't cry, but every word she said landed like thunder. I also found that some staff were promoted without working. Some people were paid but never came to work. Some departments used fake numbers to win big budgets. This is not just wrong, it is dangerous. If we continue like this, the company will die. She looked around the table. I will not let that happen. From today, I am taking charge. There will be changes, big ones. She opened the blue folder again. I am firing 4 people today. These names are here. They have broken the rules too many times. They will leave today. The names were read out. 2 managers, 1 director, 1 accountant. They looked shocked. One of them even cried. But it was done. Security was called. The 4 were removed. Kemi kept speaking. From now on, we will have a new compliance team. They will check every contract, every payment, every report. No more lies, no more secrets. She pointed to the projector screen. These are the new rules for all staff. Salaries must match real work. Promotions must be earned. Every contract must be checked twice. I will see all of them myself. She walked slowly to the door. But before she left, she said one more thing. I was quiet for a long time. But I saw everything. I heard everything. And I remembered everything. You showed me who you really are. Now I will show you who I am. Then she walked out. Back in the office, people were quiet. They no longer laughed. They no longer made fun of her. Now they looked at her with new eyes. Some with fear, some with respect, some with hope. Only one person came to her desk that day. It was Musa, the quiet accountant who had always been kind. He smiled and said, "Well done, madam." Kemi smiled back. "Thank you, Musa. I remember your kindness." Then she opened her computer again. She had more work to do. The company was still broken. But now it had someone strong to fix it. And she would. For her mother. For herself. And for all the people who needed someone to do the right thing. After the boardroom meeting, everything changed at Vantage Digital. The air inside the building felt different. People now walked slowly and talked in soft voices. Nobody joked or laughed loudly anymore. The workers who used to mock Kemi now kept their heads down when she passed. Some even greeted her with big fake smiles, but Kemi just nodded quietly. She knew the difference between fake and real. Her mother had taught her that. Kemi sat in a new office now. It was not too big, not too small, but it was hers. There was a desk, a soft chair, a window with light, and a small picture of her mother on the table. She looked at the picture every morning before she started work and whispered, "I will do it right." The company was still in big trouble. Many things were broken, but Kemi was ready to fix them. The first thing she did was call her lawyers and ask them to bring a special team. That team was made of people who were very good at checking things. They were called auditors and compliance officers. Their job was to look at all the company's papers, files, and money records and find anything wrong. Kemi also asked the IT team to block all the old passwords and give her access to everything. From now on, nothing would be hidden from her. Every contract, every email, every budget, she wanted to see it all. She also made a new rule. Nobody could sign money out of the company without it passing through her office. If someone tried, they would be reported and removed. This made many people angry, but no one said anything to her face. They were afraid, and Kemi was not afraid anymore. On the second day of her new job as boss, Kemi called a big meeting. All the workers came. They stood in the big hall and looked at her as she climbed the stage. "Good morning," she said, looking at the crowd. Many of you knew me as the quiet intern. Some of you laughed at me. Some of you ignored me. But now I am here to work with you, not to fight, but to fix." She paused and looked around the room. Some people looked down, others looked away. "This company has problems. We all know that. Money is missing. Reports were faked. Bad contracts were signed. Some of those who did wrong have been removed. But that is not enough. We must rebuild this place, together." She took a deep breath and smiled just a little. "There will be new ways. Real work will be rewarded. Lying will not be allowed. Bullying will not be allowed. And kindness will be seen and remembered." Then she pointed to a man standing in the corner. It was Musa, the junior accountant, who had always been kind to her. "This is Musa," she said. "He has always worked well. He has always been kind. From today, he will become a supervisor in the finance department." People clapped, some slowly, some loudly. Musa was shocked. His eyes were wide. He came forward and said, "Thank you, madam. I will do my best." Kemi smiled again. "I know." That same week, she removed 3 more workers who were part of the stealing. They were hiding files and lying to cover their friends. One of them cried and said, "Please forgive me." But Kemi said, "This company cannot grow if it keeps sickness inside. You must go." She also found that one department had paid millions for a software that was never used. The man who signed the deal had gone on vacation with that money. Kemi sent a letter to the police. She told her team, "We will not cover thieves. We will stand for the truth." And people began to see that she meant it. Kemi did not only remove people, she also brought new ones. She called young women who had good skills but were afraid to apply because they were not pretty or slim. She said, "Come, work here. We need brains, not beauty shows." She gave small pay raises to the cleaners and guards. She told them, "Your work matters too." She gave the staff a new email to write to if anyone was being bullied or treated badly. She said, "If someone makes you feel small, tell me. No more hiding." As the days went by, the office started to feel better. People worked harder. Some smiled for the first time. The noise from gossip stopped. The lies started to shrink. But not everyone was happy. One afternoon, Kemi got a message. It was on her phone. The name was hidden. The message said, "You think you are clever? You will regret this. You should have stayed the fat intern." Kemi stared at the message for a long time. Her hands shook a little. But then she remembered her mother's voice. "The snakes will try to bite when you shine your light." So she turned off her phone and wrote the message down. She gave it to a security guard and said, "Keep watch." That night, she had trouble sleeping. She looked out her window and saw the city lights. She missed her mother. She wished she could talk to her, but deep down, she knew her mother was proud. The next day, someone came to her office. It was Madame Bintu. She wore a new dress and carried a brown bag. "I want to talk," she said. Kemi looked up. "About what?" "Let's work together. I have contacts. I can help you grow this company." Kemi smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "You had that chance, but you chose to steal. You chose to laugh when I was down. Now you want to help?" Madame Bintu opened her mouth but said nothing. Kemi stood up. "Leave, madam. You are no longer welcome here." Security came and took her out. Kemi sat down again, calm and firm. The cleanup had truly begun. At lunch that day, Musa came to her office. "Madam," he said, "many people are afraid, but also many are hopeful. They see what you are doing, and they are ready to follow." Kemi nodded. "Good. Tell them to keep working. We are not done yet." As the sun went down, Kemi looked at her mother's photo on her desk. "We are cleaning the dirt," she whispered. "Just like you wanted." There was still much to do, but the company was starting to shine again. And the girl they once laughed at, the one they called fat, the one they thought was nobody, was now the one cleaning the whole house. The days at Vantage Digital were getting better. The air was cleaner. People were working more and lying less. Kemi was proud of the changes she had made. The papers in her office were neat now. The money reports were honest. And the workers were starting to believe that good things could happen again. But even as the company looked better on the outside, something dark was still hiding inside. Kemi came to work every morning before most people. She sat at her desk, checked her files, and read reports. She drank warm tea and looked at her mother's picture on the table. That picture always gave her strength. She remembered her mother's soft voice. "When you clean a dirty room, the cockroaches come out last." Oh, one Monday morning she opened her email and saw something strange. A file had been sent to her from an unknown sender. The title said, "Read this before it's too late." Kemi's heart beat fast. She clicked the file and saw pictures, secret pictures. The pictures showed people from her company in a private meeting, people she had already removed. Madame Bintu, Mr. Solanki, and two others. They were sitting in a restaurant talking. One of them had a big black bag beside him. Attached to the pictures was a voice message. Kemi played it. The voices were not very clear, but she could hear enough. "She's not smarter than us," one of them said. "We'll leak fake news," another voice replied. "Make her look bad. Say she stole company money. That fat girl will beg for help," a third voice said. Kemi closed the laptop slowly. She felt cold inside. These people were planning to fight back. They were angry that she had removed them. Now they wanted revenge. And their plan was to lie to the world and make her look like the bad one. That same day, the news began to spread online. A fake blog posted a story. Vantage Digital's new boss in secret money scandal. The story was full of lies. It said Kemi had used company money to buy a big house. It said she had given her friends fake jobs. It even said she was using her mother's name to steal more money. Kemi looked at the screen and took a deep breath. She knew it was a trick. But the people outside didn't know that. Soon more blogs started copying the story. Some workers at the company looked worried. Some didn't even greet her that day. In the hallway, she heard whispers again. "I told you she was too quiet," someone said. "Maybe she really did steal," another voice added. That night, Kemi went home early. She sat on her bed and opened her green truth box. The box was full of all her files, notes, and saved proof. She looked at her mother's letter again. "Be strong," it said. "Stand tall." She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat quietly and planned. The next morning, her lawyer came to see her. His name was Mr. Ani. "Kemi," he said, "they're trying to break you. They want the world to forget all the good you've done." "I won't let that happen," Kemi said. "Then we must act fast," he said. "We must show the real truth before they cause more damage." That week, Kemi worked day and night. She and her lawyers collected all the files that showed how the company had been looted. They printed reports, emails, receipts, and voice recordings. They also made a list of all the good changes Kemi had made: new hires, better pay, honest accounts. Everything was written clearly and simply. But even as she worked hard, the lies kept spreading. One evening, she got another message on her phone. This time it was worse. It said, "You are finished. People are laughing at you again. Just wait. You'll be gone soon." Kemi showed the message to her head of security. "We need more guards," she said. "I don't feel safe." That night, Kemi sat in her room with the lights off. Her heart was heavy. The same people who once laughed at her body were now trying to destroy her name. All because she had stood for truth. All because she had said no to stealing. But then she remembered something her mother used to say when she was little. When they push you down, rise up stronger. The next morning, she woke up early and went straight to work. She called a meeting with her team. "I need you all to stay strong," she said. "They are trying to break us, but we will not fall. We will fight with truth." Some of her workers nodded. Some looked scared, but one person raised his hand. It was Musa. "We are with you, madam," he said. "You showed us how to be brave. Now we will stand by you." Kemi smiled, a real smile. For the first time in days, she felt hope. Later that day, something new happened. A reporter from a big news company came to the office. She had heard both sides of the story, the lies from the people Kemi had removed, and the truth that Kemi had been quietly keeping. "I want to hear from you," the reporter said. "Tell me your side." Kemi took a deep breath. She opened her folder and began to show the reporter everything. One by one, she explained the fraud, the fake companies, the stolen money, and the changes she had made. She even gave the reporter the pictures and voice message that showed the plan to lie about her. When the interview ended, the reporter said, "Thank you. People need to hear this." Kemi nodded. "Yes, they do." That night, the real story went out. It was on the news, on social media, on every platform. People saw the truth. People saw the real Kemi, not the lies, not the fake stories, but the girl who was once laughed at and was now fighting for what was right. People started talking again, but this time it was different. "She's brave," they said. "She stood alone. She cleaned a broken company." Some of the blogs removed the fake stories. Some even said sorry. Some of the workers who had doubted her came to her office and said, "We believe in you now." But Kemi didn't smile too wide. She knew it was not over. She knew the people who had tried to destroy her were still hiding, still planning. But she also knew one thing for sure. They had failed. And from that moment on, Kemi was not just the boss. She was the fighter, the truth teller, the girl they could not break. After the news story came out, everything changed again. This time it was not bad change, it was good. The fake lies people said about Kemi were falling apart. The real truth was coming out, and people were listening. Kemi was no longer just the quiet girl in the corner. She was now the one with the voice, the one who stood tall and refused to hide. People started sending her messages. Some were workers from other companies who said, "Thank you, Kemi. You made us believe in honesty again." Some were young girls who said, "We are like you. People laugh at us too. But now we are proud." Some were even from parents who said, "We want our daughters to be strong like you." Kemi read the messages one by one. She smiled. She felt warm inside. But she also knew her work was not done. The people who lied about her were still hiding. They were still trying to destroy her. She had to end it. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with truth. So Kemi made a plan, a big one. She called a press conference. That means she invited many news people, TV people, and camera people to come and listen to her talk. She picked a big hall in the city. She made sure the lights and sound were good. She wore a clean white blouse and dark blue trousers. She brushed her hair and wore no makeup. She didn't want to look like a star. She wanted to look like herself, simple, strong, and true. On the day of the press conference, the hall was full. The chairs were packed. Reporters held their pens. Cameras faced the stage. Even people from other companies came to watch. Everyone wanted to hear what Kemi would say. She walked onto the stage slowly. She looked at the crowd. She looked straight into the cameras. She took a deep breath. Then she began. "My name is Kemi Adeola," she said. Some of you knew me as the fat intern. Some of you laughed at me. Some of you ignored me. But today, I want to tell you who I really am. The room was very quiet. You could hear a pin drop. I am the daughter of Folake Adiola, the woman who helped build Vantage Digital. When she died, she gave me her biggest gift, the truth. She told me to come here, to work here, to see who people really are when they think you are nobody. Kimmy opened a folder on the table. She showed papers, pictures, and files. These are the people who stole from this company, she said. These are the ones who made fake businesses and collected fake money. I have names, I have numbers, I have the proof. She pointed at the screen behind her. It showed pictures of contracts, bank transfers, and secret meetings. It showed emails from people who thought no one was watching. The crowd gasped. Some reporters started writing very fast. Then she played a voice message. It was the same one she had listened to before, the one where they said, "That fat girl will beg for help." Everyone in the room heard it. Some covered their mouth, some shook their heads. Kimmy looked at the crowd again. "That voice was about me," she said. "But I did not beg. I stood. I cleaned this company. I fired the liars. I brought in honest people. I made things better." Then she smiled a little. But they were not happy, so they started telling lies about me. They said I was a thief. They said I was proud. But now, here is the real truth. I have not taken one lira from this company. I don't even own a new car. I take my salary just like everyone else. Kimmy took another breath and said, "The ones who lied about me are the same ones who stole from all of us. They laughed at me because I was fat, because I was quiet. But what they didn't know was this: I was also watching, and I was learning." She looked at the cameras. "Today, I give everything I know to the police. Let them do their job. Let justice come." The room exploded with noise. Reporters asked questions. Some clapped. Some stood up. But Kimmy didn't wait. She stepped down from the stage and walked away. Later that night, the news was everywhere. Every TV station showed her speech. Every blog talked about the proof she showed. Her voice was on the radio. Her name was in the newspapers. The world now knew the truth. The fat girl was the fighter. The quiet intern was the boss. Then the next day, something big happened. The police went to the homes of the people Kimmy had exposed. They knocked on their doors and showed papers. "You are under arrest," they said. "You must answer for what you did." Madame Bintu was taken first. She was wearing a big dress and dark glasses, but her face looked afraid. Then Mr. Solanke was taken too. He tried to run, but the police caught him. People recorded everything on their phones. It was all over the internet. At the office, people cheered. Some hugged Kimmy, some clapped, some cried. They had never seen someone so brave. But Kimmy didn't laugh. She didn't dance. She just sat in her chair and looked at her mother's picture again. "It's done," she whispered. The truth won. She called a staff meeting that evening. Everyone came. "I want to thank you," she said, "for staying, for believing, for working hard. We are a new company now, a clean one." Then she looked at Musa. "You stood by me when others laughed. You stayed kind. For that, I will never forget." The whole room clapped. As the sun went down, Kimmy walked outside and looked at the sky. She thought of all the times people had laughed at her, called her names, made her feel small. But now they had seen the truth, and the truth burned the lies away. The next morning, everything felt calm. The air at Vantage Digital was soft and quiet, like after a heavy rain. It was the first day the workers came to work without fear. No one was hiding papers. No one was whispering in corners. For the first time in a long time, people were smiling for real, not fake smiles, but happy ones. Kemi walked into the building slowly. Her steps were steady. She wore a yellow dress and flat shoes. She held a cup of warm tea in her hand. People greeted her kindly now, not because they were scared, but because they respected her. She nodded at them, smiled gently, and walked to her new office. Her office was still simple. She kept it that way on purpose. There was a table, a chair, a shelf with files, and a small flower in the corner. On the desk was the picture of her mother, the one she always looked at. She sat down, looked at the photo, and whispered, "We did it, Mummy. We finished it." But even though the fight was over, Kemi knew the work was just beginning. The bad people were gone. The lies were gone. But now she had to build something better, something strong, something that could last for many years. She was ready. That morning, she called a meeting with her top team. People like Musa, the good accountant. People like Amaka, who used to be shy but was now in charge of human resources. People who had stayed honest even when things were bad. Kemi stood in front of them and said, "Now we build. Now we grow. But we must never go back to the old ways." She gave them papers that showed her new plans. Her plans were big but clear. She wanted the company to be fair to all workers. She wanted it to pay people what they truly earned. She wanted women to have strong voices in the company. She wanted young people to be trained and given chances. And most of all, she wanted kindness to live in the walls of the company. Her team smiled and nodded. They believed in her. They had seen what she had done, and now they were ready to help her do more. Kemi started many changes. She created a clear system where workers could talk about problems without fear. If someone felt bullied, they could report it in secret, and it would be handled. If someone had ideas, they could share them without being laughed at. She made sure everyone from the guards to the managers was treated with respect. She also made space for young girls who wanted to learn tech. She started a small group called Code with Courage, where young girls from poor homes could learn computers, design, and coding. They came on Saturdays, and Kemi sometimes taught them herself. She told them, "People laughed at me too, but I still rose." The girls looked up to her with bright eyes. Some even called her Auntie Kemi. She laughed softly and told them, "You can be anything. Just work hard. Don't let their words stop you." In the company, everyone started to feel proud again. The cleaners got new uniforms and better pay. The office was cleaner, brighter. Lunch breaks became happier. Even birthdays were celebrated again. One day, they sang for a worker named Chidi, and Kemi clapped the loudest. Things were simple, but they were good. One afternoon, Musa walked into her office. "Madam," he said, "a big investor wants to meet you. They've seen the news. They want to partner with us." Kemi smiled. "Set up the meeting," she said. "Let's see what they bring." When the investor came, he was surprised. He expected someone older, someone louder. But Kemi sat quietly, listened well, and asked smart questions. "You're not what I expected," he said. "I've heard that before," Kemi replied with a smile. He laughed and shook her hand. "We'll work together." That night, Kemi stood on the rooftop of the company building. She looked out at the city lights. The wind blew gently against her face. So many things had happened, so many hard days, so many sad moments. But now it was all behind her. She thought of the people who laughed at her in the beginning, the ones who hid her lunch, broke her chair, made videos of her eating. She didn't hate them. She had forgiven them. But she would never forget. She also thought of Musa, who stood beside her when everyone else was cruel. She remembered the cleaners, the shy girls, the kind smiles. She thought of her mother, the woman who had trusted her with everything. She whispered again to the sky, I did it. I didn't give up. The next day, a young intern walked into her office. The girl was big like Kemi. Her eyes were nervous. She held her file tightly and said, "I was scared to apply, but I saw your story." Kemi smiled and stood up. "Come in. Sit down. You are welcome here." The girl smiled back. That was the moment Kemi knew. The company was not just healed. It was reborn. Kemi had rebuilt it from the ground. Not with lies, not with power, but with truth, with courage, with love, and most of all, with the strength of a girl they once laughed at but could never break.